member for North Shore.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is directed to the Minister for Energy and Environment. Can the Minister update the House on conservation and fundraising efforts to protect threatened and endangered species?
Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I sure can. I sure can, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, and can I thank the member for a question? And can I thank the member for hosting me in her electorate this morning to welcome the newest members to the Taronga Park Zoo family, Mr Speaker. 5 capybaras from all the way from South America, Mr Speaker. And I'm very happy to update the House to let them know that Pedro, Sanchez, Carlos, Guillermo, and also that very traditional South American named Rodney are settling into their new environment very well, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, and I know you're very interested in this, and you know that the capybara is the world's largest guinea pig. The world's largest guinea pig, Mr Speaker. And unlike those opposite, they're cute, they're cuddly, and they're very charismatic, Mr Speaker. They're very charismatic. Mr Speaker, so Mr Speaker, with the what do they eat? Well, you'll have to read the press release, but they're very efficient. Mr Speaker, what I will say, Mr Speaker, is with the weather hotting up and school holidays upon us, I'd encourage everyone to get down to Taronga Zoo and check out the capybara enclosure that's just been opened, Mr Speaker. And Mr Speaker, there's so much more happening at the zoo these school holidays I'm happy to update the House about. Mr Speaker, we've got the School Holiday Adventure Program, and that's open for kids from 5 to 10. And I encourage everyone that has kids between 5 and 10 to get in early and register before the Perrottet family takes up all the spots. Mr Speaker, we're working on that, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, we've also got the, for budding zoologists, I know there's a few in the House, Mr Speaker, we've got the Zookeeper for a Day program, and that gives you an opportunity to shadow a zookeeper around Taronga Zoo just for the day. So it's a very unique experience, and I know the member for Hawkesbury's very excited about this opportunity. So, Mr Speaker, that's not all that's happening at the zoo these school holidays. If one day at the zoo is not enough, well, you can stay overnight. You can stay overnight as part of the Roar and Snore program. And I know Mrs Elliott gets to experience that every night of the week, Mr Speaker. However, you can go to the zoo, stay overnight, wake up and hear the beautiful sounds of lions, tigers, and now capybaras, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, so the Taronga Zoo, there's so much going on these school holidays. I will organise you a pass. But Mr Speaker, what I will say, Mr Speaker, is the zoo is more than a place just to have a good time. In fact, it is leading the way when it comes to protecting our biodiversity and protecting our environment, Mr Speaker. And the zoo is doing amazing work in partnership with the New South Wales Government. And I just want to take this opportunity to talk about the Saving Our Species program. It's the biggest single investment in protecting our threatened and endangered species in the nation, $100 million investment. And without this program, in partnership with Taronga Zoo, we wouldn't have saved the Bellingen snapping turtle, and we wouldn't have saved the southern corroboree frog. So, Mr Speaker, this program is making a huge difference in New South Wales, ensuring that we leave our planet in a better place for our kids than we found it, Mr Speaker. But it's also doing great work in protecting the southern corroboree frog, and also we're doing some amazing things with the rewilding program, and that's creating feral pest-free predator areas in our national parks, Mr Speaker. Feral pest-free programs in our national parks, Mr Speaker. And what we're doing is we're reintroducing animals, native animals that haven't been seen in their natural environment, in some cases for over a century. So getting rid of the ferals, introducing native animals back into the natural environment. And I'm looking forward to going out to Western New South Wales, and I'll acknowledge and invite the member for Barwon when we go to Sturt National Park to release 10 bilbies that have been rebred at Taronga Zoo. And we're putting them back into the Sturt National Park, which hasn't seen this beautiful animal for at least 100 years. They're a protected species. I'll just let the Shooters Party know. Protected species. We can't let them know, Mr Speaker. So, Mr Speaker, the work at the zoo is so important. It's not just about protecting our threatened species. It's not just about coming along and having a great time. The most important work that the zoo does do, and I'd encourage everyone seriously to invite their constituents along to go and visit, It's about having an education program to
about koalas?
basically inspire every single citizen in this state to care about our environment and protect it into the future. So we're doing some amazing work with Taronga Zoo, and I really would encourage everyone to get along, including the koalas. These are such important and iconic animals, and that's why we've got the koala strategy.
Member for North Shore. Yeah, it's the last question on a Thursday, and we appreciate the minister's entertainment as well as his oratory skills. But can I just ask the general level of noise, please, just to be reduced? It is difficult to actually even hear him, and that's primarily from government benches. So 2 minutes is granted. Thank you.
That's an excellent ruling, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, the zoo does incredibly important work, but it doesn't just do it alone. It does it with the support of so many great donors. In fact, over the last 5 years, we've seen over $70 million in donations from the private citizens to the zoo. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. But it's important to remember, Mr. Speaker, they don't come in Audi bags. Mr. Speaker. But it's important to remember that not all people who care about protecting threatened species donate to the zoo, Mr. Speaker. Not all people that care about protecting threatened species donate to the zoo. In fact, some donations to protect threatened species actually do more harm than good. Just ask Jonathan Yee, Mr. Speaker. Just ask Jonathan Yee, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we've got never before has a donation made a species more threatened than that of Mr. Yee's, which brings me to the Leader of the Opposition.
Member for Canterbury rises in a point of order.
Standing order 129.
He's been no, I'm happy.
We want to hear about protected
I'm happy for him to
species.
continue. Being the last question on Thursday, there's a certain licence. He's been highly relevant otherwise. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, never before has a single donation made a species more threatened. And that brings me to the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Speaker. Pictured here in a natural environment.
Minister,
The Emperor's Garden, Mr. Speaker.
Minister. Member for Campbelltown, what's the standing order, please?
73.
No, there's no point of order. Thank you. Please sit down. Thank you. Minister will continue. He's got 30 seconds to go.
Mr. Speaker, it's important to remind the House and those in the galleries that not all threatened species live in zoos. Mr. Speaker, and that's exactly what is the case with those opposite, because no one is more threatened in this state than the Leader of the Opposition. Madam Speaker, she may be earnest, but she's not honest, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order is taken. I'm happy to stop the clock, but if that's 73, I will ask the Minister to resist from making comments of that nature.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Minister.
Speaker.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.